hope in? What's to die for? Live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given is a gift. If I'ma live it, I'ma live it to death. So what's the dream of? What's the hope in? What's to die for? And live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given is a gift. If I'ma live it, I'ma live it to death. Yeah.
Welcome to the Living Hope live agency call. I'm excited for tonight. We've got some special guests. We've got Nina Damjanovic and Mr. Hayden Hill, board members here with Family First Life, and as a couple deposited $170,000 last month in July. So I'm very excited to have them on the call here today. Nina, Hayden, did you guys make it on?
Yes, we did. Can you hear us?
Hey. I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's a privilege. The two of you guys, you've taught me so much in my short year of being here, and I'm just so excited to have you on and just to pour into our group. We've got 51 people on here who I'm sure have pens and papers ready to take notes and learn from you guys. So handful of things we'll dig into tonight, but just to start, let's just talk backgrounds. You know, how did you guys get involved in the insurance space? How did you end up here? And obviously, what were you doing before Family First Life?
Absolutely. You want to go first? Okay, cool. So basically I'm from Arizona. I live here. I went to school to be a registered dietitian, graduated from Arizona State University. I basically started my own personal training business. Actually was doing pretty well. I cracked $100,000 probably my first year, right around there. And I just felt like it just wasn't like the income was great, but I just feel like I didn't have a purpose. The whole time I was just thinking to myself, like, okay, I'm training and I'm doing well right now, but what's this going to look like for me when I turn 30 or 40 or 50? Like what clients am I going to have left? Right. So I had a bunch of friends get into the insurance industry, and actually Hayden was with the previous company that we worked with, and they were killing it, honestly. Like all I heard was the insurance industry is absolutely insane. You can make so much money. All these people are telling me they were making $2,000 a week, and at that time I was like, holy crap, that's like a lot of money right there. So started as a captive agent with another company. I was there for 2 years. A year in, Hayden actually met with a year of me working at that company. Hayden actually had like a long 3-hour dinner with Grady Polson, and he was talking about FFL, talking about us starting. And Hayden comes home that night from the dinner and he goes, hey, we're switching to FFL. And I go, absolutely not. We are not. I started kind of digging deep and like Googling, and I was like, oh, this just sounds way too good to be true. Like there's no way people are making this much money. Like, oh, I don't want to pay for leads. So we stuck out that company for basically another year. And it just got to the point where I was just broke. I was like, I'm not making any money right now. This sucks. I was bait and switching. Like they weren't clients that were actually requesting insurance. Like it was just like they're requesting a freaking free hot dog, and I'm going over there to sell them a very expensive hamburger. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start FFL very part-time. And if it works out, great. If not, I'll go back to personal training. So started FFL in August of 2019. So been here now for 2 years, and very part-time. I ended up netting $17,000 my first month part-time. And I was like, okay, I could get used to this. So decided to dive in full force basically in November of 2019 when I went to a Las Vegas conference. Events change lives, and that sure did. It was just really eye-opening to just sit there and listen to people say like, hey, you know, I just made $700,000 this year. Hey, I made $800,000 this year. Like Jonathan Porcina walked across stage and was like, yeah, I issue paid this much. And I'm like, dude, how are these people putting up these crazy numbers? So that's when I decided to dive in. My number one goal was to Hall of Fame last year, and, you know, never thought I could build an agency ever. Like I was like anti-agency building at first. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then this guy was my hardest sale yet. Like literally I was with FFL for a whole year, but before he decided to jump in with me. So you could tell that story.
Yeah. Somewhat of a similar story. Basically, the insurance business found me. I didn't find the insurance business and the insurance company. So I started really young in insurance for about 3 years. Similar setup as here, but a lot different. Built an agency. Built it to like 100, 120, 130 grand a month. A top producer with them, and did that thing for a while. And ultimately, basically, I burned out because the problem was we didn't have the comp we have at FFL, and we definitely did not have the leads. So agents couldn't really make money, decided to leave. And was, you know, even though I was making six figures since age 21 in the industry, I basically was like, dude, like I got lucky. Maybe this, you know, industry isn't for me. I should probably do something else. So basically, I actually basically quit the insurance industry after a little over 3 years, got into corporate medical advice sales, did that. And in the meantime, like she said, I met with Grady, you know, when I was still at the practice company and didn't make the jump, which obviously I wish I would have. But you know, basically did medical advice sales for about a year and a half actually. And started part-time a few, probably like before I started full-time FFL, I was probably part-time for 4, 5, 6 months. And I started seeing people like at the company before that I started with in insurance making like six figures, like 2, 3, 400 grand, that at the practice company couldn't make $3,000 a month if their life depended on it. So I'm like, there must be something here. And so I went full-time in December, just like Nina said. Never thought, you know, we could be helping this many agents and it could be this good and build it this fast. And that's pretty much it.
You guys, I was literally waking up every single morning, you know, that Americo deposit hits real early, right? I was waking up every morning like, hey, like, look at this. And he still wasn't making the jump, but he finally decided to.
Love it. A couple of things I want to dig into with what you guys said. So it's kind of a two-parter question I'll ask you guys. So Hayden coming from insurance to medical device sales, Nina from personal training to insurance. You guys have a similar friend group to me and lots of people who've gotten into different entrepreneur ventures, whether it be network marketing or real estate or online businesses, digital marketing, whatever it is. We have a lot of friends who do a lot of different things. Two-parter would be, number one, obviously, if you're going to be in insurance, it's a no-brainer to be a part of Family First Life. That's just, it's you're stupid to not be. But I think it's fair to argue that this is the best sales opportunity on the planet. Okay. So I want to talk about why you guys believe that no matter who you are, whether you have an insurance license or not, this is an amazing opportunity, the best sales opportunity on the planet. We'll start there and then transition into, if you have an insurance license, why Family First Life is the best place to be in this industry.
Yeah, I just love insurance and, you know, the FFL setup because like sports or like, you know, if you're into dance or music or whatever the case may be, FFL, it doesn't matter what kind of degree you have, where you come from, but it's the one thing that I've found that if you work really hard, like you used to in sports or, you know, whatever the case may be in your past, the income is literally infinite. You can make as much money as you want. Now, why FFL? One, you know, obviously the highest comps. Two, you know, the most leads, the best leads, day one best through renewals, guys. I busted them up for 3 years. And after when I told them I was gone, I never got a penny, even though should have. And, you know, besides that, the bonuses are nuts. From building a team, there's no like, you know, crazy formula you have to, you know, do to be able to get a monthly bonus as a manager. It's very simple. And, you know, if you're new, realize how good you have it. And if maybe you're on the outside looking in, I will say with any sales thing or any opportunity, make sure you're careful. Okay. So, you know, make sure the person that's telling you how good the business is, they've actually done it. They have bank statements they can show you. They have facts. It's not just some, you know, fugazi thing that they're talking about. They've actually done it and lived it. And, you know, because of that, obviously with the people that are making money here and the track FFL is, it's a great place to be.
And to add to that, absolutely anyone can do this. Like Hayden said, like, it doesn't matter where you come from, what your previous career was. Like, you could literally come in here and crush it. Like Caitlin, single mom, selling medical insurance or working in the hospital processing medical insurance. She's making 127 grand in a single month, 4 months in. Like, it's a no-brainer. She's had no insurance experience prior. She just got licensed 4 months ago. So anyone can just plug into the system, follow it, buy leads, call them, show up, and win.
So what's that formula? Because obviously you guys have this down to a science. You have new people coming in every single week that are coming out and crushing it out of the gates. I know that you guys make it a really big deal to find success very fast. You guys aren't in the business of starting slow. You guys want people to make money as quickly as possible. And if they don't, they're obviously going to be on their way out just as quick as they came in. So like, what's the formula? And before you guys give the formula, I'm just going to preface that what they say, guys, it's not going to be rocket science, and they're probably not going to give you the guru secrets of how to make it in this business, but they're going to give you the basics. And, you know, if you want to be a master in this business, you have to learn to master the basics. And these guys are absolute masters. So what's the formula for someone who's brand new to come in and, let's just say, get to 250,000 a year? And then if you guys want to expand upon someone who wants to be like a top producer.
Yeah, I think we can speak on what's, you know, physically worked for us. There's, you know, a couple different ways you can do it, but I'm just going to speak on facts and what has worked for us. So what's worked for us is basically you got to learn how to sell right from the get-go. You have to be aggressive. And so, you know, you guys hear all the time, sell 30, 40, 50K a month, because one, you're going to make a crazy income. Two, you're going to learn all the underwriting, all the things about leads, all the things about policies and carriers you could ever need to know. And so when you start to build the team, that's super important. So sell 30, 40K a month. The second thing is you need to basically promote it like crazy. So you own your own business. I always think about it like a restaurant model. If you opened up a Pizza Hut and you didn't advertise, let anyone know you're open for business, or, you know, advertise that you're selling pizzas, it would probably be pretty hard. And so in terms of building an agency, we just share all the great things about FFL, the compensation, the renewals, the leads, you know, Sean Mike is our CEO, all the great things. And I think it's just super attractive. I mean, you know, once you've been doing this for a while and you've had some success, I think sometimes it's easy to forget the level of success that we just think is normal. Like if someone can go out and make $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 in a week, most likely that's more money than anyone that they know is actually making. And so based on that, it's like, okay, you learn how to sell, you know, build an agency, you train and you promote, you know, the opportunity in the business like crazy. More than likely, almost every person that you know can have a ton of success, whether that's more money, maybe that's time freedom, maybe that's, you know, being able to control their own destiny, whatever the case may be that's, you know, what we've done.
What he said.
Great. So the formula basically is buy leads, dial the phone, go sit with the families, actually show up, and then tell everybody in the world how great of an opportunity it is. So let's just dig into each one of those. In regards to leads, let's say I'm brand new. I watched the overview video and I'm very interested. I've got a background in sales. I'm a car salesperson, whatever it is. I come to you guys and I say, I've never worked leads before. It's just been people walking off the lot. What's the conversation look like? How do you guys explain buying leads for the first time and the value behind buying leads and the lead system that Family First Life has and why it's so different than what everybody else has?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I think I'm good to answer this one because when I started, Jamie, I was super hesitant to buy leads. I was used to only getting a certain amount and milking those bad boys for 3, 4, 5 weeks. And so my first month full time, actually only issue paid about 20 grand. And it's because I was spending like, you know, $300 every like 10 days on leads. So I wasn't investing. Depending on what the agent's resources are, of course, depending on, you know, how big they're trying to do this. You know, that's usually the main thing. And so I always divert to looking at the CRM and seeing how many leads and what kind of leads are available in your area. Now we have some guys that want to come out and write 40 grand their first month. And so the conversation is, all right, you're probably gonna need to spend, you know, 12, 13, 14, 1500 bucks a week on leads. And there's some people that basically start part-time and maybe they just want to make a couple, you know, $1,000 a weekend would be huge for them, or like $1,500 or $2,000. And so maybe that conversation is a little bit different. Maybe it's, you know, buy as many age leads as you can. We're going to stick to, you know, $500 your first week. And the cool thing about it, Jamie, is it's almost like a slot machine. Like you put in $500. If you follow the system, you know, you're going to make a couple thousand. You put in, you know, 1,000 or 1,500, you know, you're going to be able to make, you know, 10,000. So just depending on that agent's needs and what they're looking for.
Okay. Awesome. Nina, what do you say to someone who's new that is hesitant to buy leads for the first time? They're hesitant to spend money. How do you, I guess, just show them the value behind, like, for instance, if the example that Andrew gives all the time is buying 100 instant internet leads. And the average premium that can be sold? What does that conversation look like if you talk to someone who's new?
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think when talking to someone about leads, I start with my experience with them. So like last year, I was able to issue 420,000 on my own pen, but I did put in 80 to 100 grand into leads. So I just always ask people, like, before even bringing them on, like, if you want to work really hard, if you want to make 400 plus 250, 200 grand in a year, are you willing to invest into leads? Like, that's the first question. Because if you're not going to make it here, right? So leads fuel the business. But the conversation is pretty simple. It's like, hey, if you want to be successful here, and if you want to set yourself up for a successful first week, you're going to need 100 leads per dial day. So it doesn't matter if they are 100 or instant leads or new internet leads or final expense leads. It doesn't matter what leads they are. You need to have at least 100 in order to be able to have enough people to dial, right? So I remember when I started, we didn't have the instant internet leads. So when I started, I was buying like $500 of like the final expense leads, and I would get 20 leads, and I would dial through them in like 45 minutes. And if I got 3 appointments, I was screwed, right? So now that we have the instance and the new internet leads and the 1 month and 3 months, like we just have so much more opportunity and so many more people to call in. It makes it easier when bringing in hiring on new agents, because they can spend less but get more leads, if that makes sense. So the key is, what I always tell people from the start is, have at least 100 leads on your dial day. If they're the cheap kind, buy 200, 300, 400, just because they're not going to be as easy to book as the instance or final expense or mortgage or whatever it is that you're running, but you're going to have a ton of people to call. There's no way to fail, right? If you can book the 8-year-old mortgage protection leads, you can absolutely book any lead. So I think that's the first thing. And then I also set dial days as like a huge expectation. Like, hey, we expect you to be on dial team. This is where you're going to learn the most. You get to hear from top producers. And just from the start, like, hey, let's just say you have 100 leads on your dial day. It might take you 2 hours to book 15 appointments over the next 2 days, or it might take you 15. But are you willing to, and do you have the discipline to sit there and dial until the job is done? So just setting that expectation from the start.
Yeah.
Something else I'll say about leads, Jamie, is with the internet leads, it's been such a game changer. There's all type of different leads. There's direct mail leads, there's Facebook leads, there's online leads. And I love that FFL adopted the internet leads, because guess what, dude? That's where the industry is going. That's where young people are headed. Me and Nina just got the pleasure of turning 26, so we got to get off our parents' health insurance and buy health insurance. And do you think we filled out a mailer online out of all the mail we got? Heck no, dude. We have a smartphone. Most people that use their phone, they do it off their phone. What do? We looked online and we basically, filled out a, request for coverage, and someone called us and basically we set that up. And so that's my favorite. And because there's so many, you can get anywhere in the country, you can get those leads instantly. That's just been the game changer for us and our group. And that's definitely my favorite lead.
Yeah. So we just got off a travel trip, and we'll probably get into this later too, but we just got off a travel trip and we had a bunch of mailers between like final expense, mortgage protection. And for whatever reason, we were just having a bad time booking them. It was crazy. So I decided to pop in the CRM. There was a 35% off code at that time, work spots, and literally bought 150 instants, and those seriously made our freaking trip. Lay downs. If you get in the home, you're selling them. So love those.
Yeah. Leads are a game changer. So let's talk phones, because Nina, you mentioned dial team and how it's an expectation for people to get on dial team. What's the value of dialing on dial team, dialing in an office, and then just maybe 1 or 2 quick tips on dial day in general, just to set people up for success? We won't make this a phone script training or anything, but just why dial team, and what are 2 tips on how to make your dial day a success?
Absolutely. I think dial team has been an absolute game changer. I think 1, for accountability, and 2, you don't feel like you're alone. When I started, I was so nervous for whatever reason to to go into Grady's office. I just was like, you know what, I'm just going to dial from home. And what I would do is I would dial for like 20 minutes and then wait, like get up, make myself a sandwich, get myself a drink, go to the gym. Like I would just do things to distract myself. And dial team and like having all these offices across the US has completely changed the game for us. Like you get to plug into a team of hungry, motivated people that are just freaking crushing it. A, you get to learn a lot, and B, like you're actually going to sit there, you're not going to get distracted, and you're going to do the work, right? You're going to put in the dial time because they see Gage, they see all these people just putting in the time on the phones, and that correlates because you guys are top producers, right? So just seeing top producers dial is huge, and then going into the office where you can just fully focus, concentrate, and actually get the job done.
I love it. Hayden, any tips for you on what to do to make Dial Day a success?
I think you just treat it like it's you know, the main thing in your business, because it 100% is. The way that Monday and Thursday go, that's the way the rest of the week's gonna go. I always tell people, you take Monday and Thursday serious, you have 15 plus appointments, you're gonna be driving around and collecting checks the next 2 days. If you don't, and you don't want to dial or give it your all to get 15 appointments, well, you're going to either have to pay the price in income, or you're going to have to be doing drop-bys all day. And if it's really hot like it is out here in Arizona, it's going to punish you enough. So yeah, just take it super serious. I like to, if I'm not in the office or on not near a local office, I'll get on dial team, and like, you know, in my house, I like to face like a white wall. So I'm like just like super in the zone, and basically have my AirPods charged up, my phone charged up, have my schedule there. I still use a script. I've been doing this for almost 5 years now. I still have a script. I still like to follow it just to keep me fresh and keep my memory going. And then besides that, man, just sometimes like I can book 15 appointments in, you know, 3, 4, 5 hours. Sometimes it takes 12 hours, but you just got to make sure you get your 15.
I love it. So when you get those 15, I remember for me, I bought my leads, I booked my first 15 appointments, and then it was like the panic kicked in as a brand new person, like, oh crap, like I actually have to go and see these people. And I think that it's important to know that 85% of this business is the phones, 10% is the in-home, and the small 5% is really knowing the products. How do you ease a new person's first appointment jitters, and what support do you offer someone who's new, who's going into the home for the first time? I know it's same support that anybody in Family First Life is offered, but what does that support look like for someone who's going into the home for the first time, and what should they be focused on going into that first appointment?
So basically we'll, you know, role play on Zoom or on the phone with them before that to make sure they're, you know, comfortable. The cool thing, guys, is we sell insurance to people that are requesting it. So there's no like crazy like sales pitch or anything like that. It's simply like they either want it or they don't. Of course, there's training that goes into it to be sharp and, you know, be able to overcome like, you know, common objections and things like that. But most of the time, you know, people are just, you know, scared that they're going to pay too much or scared that they're making the wrong decision. So as long as you're, you know, you're well equipped for your objections, the people want it. You just have to help them see that they do want it and need to get it taken care of. So basically, after we role play with them and they're ready, they can always call us in the home. We have underwriting help that, you know, people are at the ready. So basically, with our, you know, platform, you can literally just type in, you know, 60-year-old smoker, heart attack 4 years ago, and on the Cinepril, looking for $15,000 of whole life coverage. And then they tell you within 30 seconds to a minute. If that gets declined, of course, they'll tell you the next option. So it's super, super simple. I would say as long as your computer is logged into your carrier website and you know the password, sometimes that's the hardest part for new people. As long as you can get into the e-app and basically just, you know, check the boxes and go down each question and answer them, it's pretty simple.
I think the biggest thing is just, I tell every single person, like, just get through your first 2 days of your 15 scheduled appointments. We'll reevaluate from there. But the key is, like, we had an agent call us the other day, and she was like, hey, like, I'm going to give these 2 appointments that I have today away because I'm too nervous to go. And like, the way they have to see it is like, it's a family that actually needs your help. Like, what if something happens to them tomorrow, right? So like, you are there to serve and protect that family. And the key is just to, like I said, get through those first 15 appointments or 15 booked appointments as fast as possible. And then from there, you can reevaluate, because if that person has 14 no-shows, it's something with their phone script, right? Or if they sit 15 people and close 0, it's something with their in-home. So then you kind of know what to work on with that specific individual. But the key is just to get through your first 15, and that's it.
Okay. I love it. So most common objection that new people get is, I need to think about it. Hayden, you're the objection master. How do you coach somebody who is constantly getting, I need to think about it?
Yeah, so it's probably something in the setup, either not telling the client what's going to happen today, not properly explaining the process and how it works. But usually that's the thing you want to go back on. If it's already too late and they, give you objections of, I want to think about it. The best way I, overcome it is I just isolate the issue and say, okay, great, Jamie, the reason you need to think about it, is it because the price or is the coverage? Like, what do you need to think about? Usually it's the price. In that situation, we want to make sure it's comfortable for the client and do what's best for them, so we can make it cheaper and start out on a starter program if we need to. If they just need to think about the coverage, then that's fine. We need to see if they can be approved by the insurance carrier. And so we're going to submit a request for coverage, see if they're approved. And then, in 24 to 48 hours from there, we'll give them a call, let them know that they're approved or not. And then from there, adjust accordingly.
Okay. And you mentioned the idea of it generally being a problem in the setup. So obviously we can give you the word tracks to overcome objections, but the goal is to not get any objections. And it's not that you'll never get objections. You have to be sharp. You have to know how to overcome objections. They can happen at any time, but most top producers, they avoid getting most objections because they set up properly. So Nina, what does the setup look like? Can you just give us like a basic word track of what you say when you sit down at the table, just to show people how simple it is?
Absolutely. So I like to keep things super, super simple. So it doesn't matter what lead it is. My intro is pretty much the same. And the most important thing is the credibility, financial inventory sheet, and your license. So basically, as soon as I get to the door, knock, knock. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Jamie, I'm here for our meeting that we scheduled for the life insurance that you requested online. Do you have a table we can sit at? As we're walking to the table, I'm building very, very small rapport. Your job isn't to go there and make friends with these people. It's simply to help their family, right? And you have tons of people to see if you're actually booking 15 appointments in a 2-day period. So you don't want to build too much rapport. So sit down with them. The first question I ask is, okay, Mary, so Jamie, you put in this request for some life insurance. What prompted you to fill that form out online?
I have a brand new son and a wife, and I wanted to make sure that if something happened to me, I work full time, my wife stays home, that if I pass away, then they're just taken care of.
Okay, well, congratulations on your son, Jamie. So why is this coverage important for you to put in place for them?
Well, I mean, everybody says that you should get life insurance, and I just don't have any.
Okay, you've never had life insurance before?
I've never had any.
Okay, nothing through work or anything like that?
I opted out of it.
Okay, why is that? Is there a reason for that?
I just didn't really understand it, but my parents told me that I needed to get it.
Do your parents have life insurance?
I think they do.
Okay, do you know how much coverage they have?
I think probably enough to cover like their burial.
Okay, and Jamie, since this is so important for you to get in place for your son, what's your son's name?
Nehemiah.
Okay, awesome. So Jamie, before we get started, to see if you can even qualify for any sort of coverage, legally, I first have to show you my Arizona State Insurance license. So here it is right here. You can take a picture of this. You can verify me with the Department of Insurance. Completely up to you. I show them my license. And then the next thing I show is the credibility sheet. So Jamie, I am a broker. I work with Family First Life. I'm not a captive agent. So what that means is I'm like the Expedia for insurance. So when I say Expedia, they can kind of relate to it, right? So I'm like the Expedia for insurance. I'm going to be able to find you something that A, you can afford, and B, you can qualify for. All the companies that I work with are A and A+ rated. So I'm sure you recognize most of these, right? And I just point to the credibility. Yep. And then just depending on what they're looking for. So like I'll explain the difference between mortgage protection, life insurance, safe money retirement, and basically my next step is, okay, Jamie, I'm going to dig into about 2 minutes of both medical and finance questions with you just to see if you can even qualify. From there, what we're going to do is we're going to submit a request for coverage to the carriers. I wish I could accept you. Unfortunately, the companies do. This is all based off questions that I'm going to ask you about your age, health, habits. So is that fair, just to take 2 minutes on that?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, awesome. And then I just dig into the inventory questions. So I like to keep things super, super simple, but I think the most important thing, and you guys have heard this a million times, is just pulling that why out of them. So like if Jamie tells me at the end, or when I show him numbers, like, oh, I really got to think about this. Like, so in the beginning of the appointment or our meeting, you told me that this was really, really important for your son to have in place and your wife to have in place. If something were to happen to you, or if you don't come home tomorrow, like your wife has no income coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Remember saying that? So like it just fighting all the objections from the start by just pulling that why out of them. And you know what we get most of the time is like, okay, Jamie, so you put this request in online for some life insurance. You know, what prompted you to fill that out? Oh, I just wanted quotes. And then people kind of just move on from there. You're already like, that person isn't going to buy if they're telling you they just want quotes right there and then. Like you have to fight that. That's an objection right there. So literally simply by asking like, okay, who are the quotes for? Or
They're for my wife and son.
okay, exactly. So, okay, and why is this important for you to have in place for them? So just digging deeper into that why.
I think a lot of times too, being honest and like direct with the client is super important. Just caring about them, you know, like to be honest, if someone came to my house, I probably want to think about it if they didn't do a good enough job and really convince me that, hey, dude, you request this, you need this, you just told me. So I'll go back and forth and isolate, you know, if it's the price that's the issue or whatever. And then my last line that usually works if I need to is I just be super honest with them. I say, Jamie, let me just be honest with you, man. I've been doing this for a while. And like 99% of the time when you want to think about it or wait, usually you never end up putting any coverage in place. It's not exciting like buying a new house or a new car. I totally understand, man. But based on what you told me about your income and your wife and your son, we definitely need to put this in place. So I think the best option is this one. If that fits the budget, great. Let's see if you can get approved. If not, we can start with something basic. You know, instead of 120, it's going to be $80 a month. And then from there, we can always upgrade, you know, if you're healthy enough down the road. Does that make sense? Okay, great. Let's get going. So.
I love that. Excuse me. That's awesome. I think it's important that this is at least one thing that I do, just to kind of add on to what you guys have to say. When you mentioned not letting somebody just get away with, oh, I was just looking for quotes and then move on. The goal is to just dig a little bit deeper out of them, why they actually requested the information. And I personally won't move on to the next step of the appointment until I can dig that out of them. And I think just one extra thing I like to add on is when somebody, I am able to get that out of them, and they share with me, you know, I wanted to get this for my wife and son because if I pass away, my wife has no income. She's going to lose the house, lose the car, blah, blah, blah. It's just to simply restate back to them what you heard them say. So it's like, all right, so what I'm hearing you say is that if you pass away, you know, and then it's just a quick yes. Okay, that's exactly why I filled this out. Great. And throughout the entire in-home, you guys are doing these things called trial close. So you're showing these three options, and throughout the process, you know, okay, so, you know, this one, if you were to pass away, this one's going to pay off your home and it's going to leave a year worth of income for your wife. You could see why that would be valuable, right? You know, it's just a simple, you can see why that would be valuable, right? Yes. And it's just, you're getting these small trial closes throughout the entire thing. You know, the goal is to get them to say yes as many times as possible throughout, getting them to agree to the proposition of the value in the insurance. So then when you do say, hey, here's your three options, which one? It's going to be a simple yes. So that's great, guys. Last couple things, travel trips. You guys are the king and queen of travel trips. I've got some on the team who have dipped their toes in the water and done a couple of travel trips, but we by no means have a culture yet of people who are just picking up and going around the country and following the leads. So what are some tips for a travel trip? What do you look for in an area, and when it's ripe for someone to go on a travel trip? How do you set up your dial day in regards to giving yourself enough time to book enough appointments? Let's just dig into it step by step.
Absolutely. So travel trips are incredible. Like I literally don't think we live in Arizona. So if you guys know the Arizona market, some people like to call it like the black hole of insurance, even though it's not. Like, you could still write your 20, 30, 40, 50 grand a month here, but you do have to work a little bit harder, right? So we have this motto, it's called chase the leads. So we literally go wherever the leads are. So if I look in the CRM and I'm just cruising and I see that New Jersey has 500 instant internet leads, well, guess what? That means there's not enough agents servicing those families out there. So I'm going to take advantage of that and go on the trip. So we literally will go wherever the leads are. I know a lot of people look at income or like the medium household income. Like, we don't look at any of that. We simply just chase the leads. So it doesn't matter where it is, what area it is, wherever the leads are, we're going. Basically, the way I do it, I know Hayden sometimes goes on his travel trips a little bit differently, but I like to buy leads and book at least 15 appointments before I even head out. So I simply, like, if I'm leaving, let's say on a Monday, that means my leads, I'm buying them from, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, leading up to that Monday. On Sunday night or Sunday, I'm going to start dialing just to be able to get ahead for that week. So essentially, let's say if we're going to Hawaii, what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy all the leads that I possibly can, and I'm going to spend as much as possible, just because I'm already investing in a rental car. I'm already, getting a hotel room. I'm already spending all this money. So why wouldn't I just want to spend more money to get more opportunities for more sales, right? So buy as many leads as possible. Don't go on a travel trip if you're just going to spend like $500 or $1,000 on leads, because it's not even worth it. You might as well just stay in your backyard. So basically, I like to start dialing on Sunday, and I like to continue my dials on Monday as well, and then either take a night flight out Sunday and then continue my dials on that travel trip on Monday, or I'll get out there Monday night after dials. And essentially, I will not leave until I have 15 appointments at least booked, because if I have 15 appointments booked, I literally have nothing to worry about. I know I'm going to drive around, collect checks, and I'm still going to have a ton more leads to dial between appointments, between no-shows and stuff like that. But the mindset behind travel trips is like, you're focused. You know what I mean? Like, when you're at home and you get no-showed and you have a gap between your schedule, what are you doing? You're more than likely coming home, making yourself a sandwich, chilling, calling friends. When you're on the road, you're fully focused and committed to a goal. So like, before every travel trip, set up a goal for yourself. Like, oh, I want to write 10, 15, 20K on this trip. It doesn't matter what it is, but set up a goal for yourself and get yourself enough leads and give yourself enough time to actually get there. So just going in with full focus, like between appointments, you're either door knocking or dialing more appointments. Cause like, I just basically think of it as, I'm not going to come back to this area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give these the leads, my absolute all, resolve every single one of them, and make sure every single one of these families is protected as if I'm never going to come back here again. So set big goals, go over there. Don't go back to your hotel room between appointments. Literally hammer the field. That's when you do the most door knocks. That's when you make the most dials between appointments, and you have the most appointments booked. So.
Yeah, I do it pretty similar. I've done it both ways, where I dial before. I've done it where I've got to the area. My theory is, like, I'm already out here. I've already bought the car, the hotel, the flight, the leads, whatever the case may be, I'm making it work no matter what. And so I guess some keys that onto Nina that I try to focus on is, if I can, now if I have 12 appointments a day, I'm never going to turn that down. But if I can leave like 9 and 10 a.m. open to wake up and dial for an hour and a half, 2 hours for like that same day and the next day, that always helps me add more activity. And then same thing, just at the end of the dial day, texting the leads, making sure I'm dropping by if there's no shows or I have gaps. And, like, I went on a trip 2 weeks ago to Oakland, and the luck of the draw, or a lot of the leads were in the not so good part of Oakland. So I went out there and didn't really know what to expect. And if I wouldn't have door knocked and sent texts, my production would have been cut in half. But because I did the extra effort of sending the text, dialing in the morning, and dropping by, that actually ended up being a pretty good trip. And so just making sure you turbocharge your activity. Sometimes I'll even go out on a Thursday and I'll run business Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just do 3 days in a row, as much activity as possible. And I think, something like that, if you do a big weekend, you can produce, more than most people do in a full week, just by going hard for 2 or 3 days in the weekend.
100%. All right. Last thing, and we'll open up for Q&A. you guys are one of the youngest groups that is on track for what's called an integrity deal. You guys are in the next group of people, as Sean says, that are fast tracked for an integrity deal. Can you just, we don't need to go too deep, but will you guys just talk about what integrity is and the opportunity that anybody has here when they build a team, as well as just how Family First Life in general has changed your life? You know, 170,000 in deposits is no joke, but what has that done for you guys?
Yeah, I think it's crazy. It's better than I thought I ever could have been. Talking to people in the industry that have been doing this for 30, 40 years, like opportunities like this and integrity and the partnerships, this kind of stuff doesn't exist. So working with Sean Mike doesn't exist. And so I'm just super pumped. When that time comes, it's going to be amazing to, have the infrastructure and the resources for our team. It's going to help so many people on our team be able to increase their team production and get a deal. And, we're just super excited. Basically what it is, if you're new here, is it's an option you have. You don't have to do it by any means, but basically you get to partner with a massive corporation that buys out insurance agencies and a bunch of different, parts of the industry. And basically get to get a great sum of money up front. You get to have private stock. You get to, have salaries. You get to be able to pay your staff more, put them on, payroll with them, pay your expenses. Basically, have a lot more resources than Nina and Hayden's insurance agency, operated by ourselves and our staff, could ever hope for or, be able to have.
The crazy thing is how fast you can actually do it. So like we look at Josh Williams, who just started with us, in April, end of March, April, and he's on track to get to $1 million a month by the end of the year, which is just absolutely mind blowing. So like literally anyone can come here and build an agency to $1 million+ a month. And last I heard Sean say they want to have at least 100 integrity partners by the end of next year, which is insane. Like they're not stopping. We actually got a chance to meet Brian Adams, the CEO of Integrity, and it was like one of the most mind-blowing things, that like how big the company itself is and how many people they're looking to partner with. Like they want as many partners as possible. So if you literally, like, when I started FFL and when I was very part-time, one of the things that Grady told me was, if you freaking go all in on this, and I mean all in, like skip out on the family vacations, the weddings, the parties, all of that, just put your head down and work for 2 straight years and watch what happens and watch what changes with your business. And like, he was like a person that actually did that. So I was like, you know what, like if he did it, I'm going to try it out. Let's do it. So all we've done is just put our heads down, focus. We've sold our butts off. We've, reached out to we've hired so many different people. We're just rabid about this opportunity and just being so aggressive about it and being so focused on it. I feel like that's why we've been able to grow. But I mean, absolutely anyone can do it. So
yeah, perfect. With a company being so young and the way that it's projecting, and like people that work at these big companies that do bowl games and commercials don't even know about FFL yet, or they're just starting to learn. So I'm always just like, dude, like there's gonna be people that come in here and do it in a few months and get a deal because the company's name is gonna be so popular. All the things that we have that other people don't have is so attractive to, salespeople, let alone insurance agents. And so if you're new, realize this thing it goes quick. And you can, go from zero to a deal in a few months if you really put in the work and you give it your all.
Perfect. Let's transition in the last part of this call and get everybody off of here. Anybody has questions, go ahead and unmute your mic or type in the chat, and we'll go ahead and we'll get 3 questions, and then we'll get us off of here. So let's make them some good ones.
I feel
How many states are you guys licensed in?
Go ahead. So can you repeat that? Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worry, you're good. I was just wondering, how many states are you guys licensed in currently?
I'm licensed in 40 something. It's right around 40 states. And it wasn't the case, it wasn't like that from the very beginning. It just, as we started building an agency and as we started doing more travel trips, we're like, why not get licensed in all these cool places? So
yeah. And just to add on to that, as you start to build an agency, you'll learn that certain companies require you to have a license in a state that you hire an agent in. It's not the case in all 50 states. Easy rule of thumb is if you hire somebody in a state, just get the license because it's worth not missing out on a single override. All right. What other questions do we have?
I got one.
What's up,
I
Mike?
knew he was gonna ask one.
Caitlin Curry.
I'm Caitlin tonight. Yeah. So for the newest person out there, why should you or should you not start hiring from day one and the advantage it gives you when growing a team?
Okay, so this is so I didn't hire my first agent for 9 months. Literally, I was with FFL selling for 9 months before I even brought on my first agent. And I wish I did from day one. And the reason why I hired that first agent was because there were other people within FFL hiring people that I was really good friends with. I'm like, what the heck? She started and she's on their team. Like, how are they not on my team? And they're like, dude, you never share it. Like, you didn't tell us. You know what I mean? We didn't even know that you were with FFL. So I would 100, like, if they're not here now, they will be eventually, especially people from other companies, but like your friends and people that you would never think would hear of FFL will hear about FFL eventually. So literally share it with the world, because you can change someone's life completely, like Caitlin Blackburn, from making $2,800 a month to making $127,000 in a single month. Like, being able to just change someone's life like that is huge. And then it benefits you because you're building your agency, you're showing the opportunity to more people, you're growing. So
Dude, when you started, didn't you sell like an $80,000 policy like your first or second month?
Yeah, it was like month 4, but yeah, I mean, you never know what you're going to walk in the door on a $11. Actually, it was a $9 new internet life lead.
It's nuts, dude.
Oh.
Yeah. Now Mike comes from the appliance repair background. He has a $5,000 a month income for the first year, replacing. It's like he kept his appliance repair job by selling one policy. So, all right, let's take 2 more questions. I got Robert Snow. What's the best way for a 9 to 5 part-time to get off to a good start?
Yeah, I think I can answer that because that's kind of the way I started. We have a couple of guys that just started with us and had like crazy success stories. But Robert, I would base off your schedule, man. So if you think that, maybe you have like Tuesdays off, if you think that running 1 full day on your day off, that's going to be the best way. Great. I'm guessing since you said 9 to 5, you probably have Saturday and Sundays off. And so the way I did it, the way a lot of our new agents that transitioned successfully, the way they did it is basically when they got off work on Thursday and Friday, they got their butt home. They, got their headphones on and started dialing from like 5:30 or 6 to 9 p.m. And then, in the morning on Friday before work for, 30 minutes or an hour, they got extra dials in, and then same thing at night on Friday. And they just booked for Saturday and Sunday. So I would recommend a part-time agent either to run a full day Saturday or 2 full days Saturday and Sunday. And to be honest, if you can get your dials in, you can have a heck of a weekend just by dialing on Thursday and Friday night when you're off work and still, totally make a great income.
Love it. All right, we got one last question. Peter Unger, go ahead, unmute.
Yeah. Hey, Nina and Hayden, what is something that you've done as an agency, as a team, or just as 2 people that you feel like has given you a unique advantage that isn't necessarily taught in the mainstream of FFL, or you just feel like it's something that's been so essential to your rapid growth as an agency?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's only one thing to say, and it's just, we're both Hall of Fame producers. When we've had a couple of great groups from other companies reach out to us, and they did their interviews, they talked to a bunch of people in FFL. And when you sell at a high clip and you're not lazy and you can train, and, I like the dudes on the screen, like you and Mike and Jamie. And I saw, I think Samantha had a great first week. Like, I want to run with you guys because you guys like fire me up. You guys are hard workers, you're out in the field. But if I'm looking at the opportunity and obviously if you have a huge agency, that's something different. But when you're first starting out, if you're not out there selling a bunch of insurance, that doesn't really motivate me. And I want someone that can teach me how to make money immediately. So I'm going to choose that guy or that gal that's selling a bunch of insurance and, gives off, positive vibes, and they're posting about insurance. And I can tell that's like their deal 24/7, because that's going to probably be the person that can help me make the most money right off the bat. I would say maybe the other thing would be sharing it a ton.
Mhm.
You know, we make it a point just because we love it and we believe in it so much that we try to share it to everyone we meet. Like, dude, once you get the hang of this thing and you start selling 20, 30, 40 grand a month, it's no longer about you. Like, you can do it pretty easily over and over and over again. It's like, you know, your Uber driver, or like, you know, you're at a restaurant, or like the flight attendant, or whatever the case is. It's like, dude, I know you're probably not making that great of money, or you just, you know, don't really like your job. Like, dude, you're super sharp. You would absolutely crush it here. And if I share it with them, maybe I can help change their life. If they say no, that's cool with me. That's totally fine. But I think just sharing rapidly all over in person, whatever the case may be, that'd be the second biggest thing.
Love it. All right. What are your final thoughts to anybody on here who they want to make it big and they just haven't gone all in yet? What's your final push for somebody who's right on the edge of going all in?
Remember your why 100%. If it's for your family, if it's for your daughter, your son, and for your parents, it doesn't matter who it is. Like, your why has to be so strong that you're absolutely willing to do whatever it takes to get there. So we're very stern on our whys. We know exactly why we're doing this, and we know we want to impact along the way. So that's the biggest thing. And then today's still Monday. It's 6 p.m. Pacific time. We still got 4 more hours to dial. We can make it a freaking great dial day. If you haven't hit your appointment goal of 15, 20 appointments, hammer the phones these last couple hours, because that'll get you to where you want to be.
Yeah, I would say the other thing, guys, is opportunities like this don't happen too often. And then Gad's been in insurance forever, was like, dude, what FFL is doing hasn't been done for like almost 50 years, and I'm seeing the same patterns. So if you're new, I would just realize FFL is going to $1 billion company. We're led by Sean Mike, who's one of the greatest entrepreneurs of our time. You can, you know, make so much money. You can build this thing so big. Your, you know, agents can make so much money and help so many people, dude. Like, when you build an agency, like, we're helping thousands of people a year just because we made the decision to sell a lot of insurance and, you know, share the opportunity a lot. So I would just ask yourself, you know, it's going to $1 billion. How much of the million, or how much of the billion do you want? How much of that pie? And if it's a lot or whatever you want, make sure your effort and everything is going towards that, and let's roll.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys so much for jumping on this call tonight. Everybody have an absolutely incredible night. Get back on the phones, and excited to see what y'all do this year. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks,
Jamie.
Peace out, guys.